The Father tells us today that we should not let ourselves be worried by the shadows that obscure our way. Your anxiety is etched on your brow, your stomach is knotted with anxiety, and your heart is filled with questions that reverberate in the empty places of your heart. I see all of these things. I am able to hear your prayers, which are hushed and silent, the expression of a soul that is looking for comfort. Child, you yearn for a safe haven from the storms, a stronghold of tranquility in the middle of the chaos, and you want your spirit to be able to rest. My soul is able to comprehend. Despite the fact that it may feel like it in the depths of your isolation, your tale is not one that is unique to you. The gnawing pain of longing, the weight of burdens carried alone, and the frustration of pleas that appear to go unanswered are all things that I am familiar with. Permit me to reassure you, however, that your voice is heard by me, and that your tears are mixed together with mine. I have touched every nook and cranny of your being, I have witnessed every wound, and I have heard every single scream that you have ever shed. Your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness. Do not be concerned about the periods when the darkness is getting closer. It is nothing more than a prelude to the morning, a necessary prelude to the outpouring that you are expected to experience. Do not forget to look up, young one, because the first rays of light are beginning to emerge from the horizon. The wedding season is drawing near, the day you've been waiting for and the time you've been working so hard to get ready for. There is a stirring among my handmaidens, who are devoted and honest. They are able to hear my voice, and the call brings them closer together, bringing together the company for the visitation that was promised. I shall come to you, with the intention of being a constant companion rather than a passing visitor. Do you remember the promise, young one? This is not a passing grace or a momentary sight of the divine, rather, it is a promise that, and surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. I will establish my dwelling place within you, a source of life in the dry desert of your spirit. I will make my domicile within you. What it means to abide in the vine will become clear to you not via rumors or second-hand accounts, but rather through the obvious presence that resides inside you. You will drink from the depths of my replenishment, and your strength will be refreshed, and your spirit will be nurtured, while those around you will wander around thirsty and lost. Child, you should first seek the kingdom. This is not a meaningless platitude, rather, it is the key that will open the treasures that heaven has to offer. When you seek my presence, you discover the solution to every problem that exists on earth. It is not by labor and effort that provision is obtained, rather, it is from the fountain of my riches. At the same time, neither my hand nor my heart has become shorter. Each and every one of your heart's cries finds an echo in mine, and the answer can be found hiding inside that echo. Give me your hands, child, and I will give you mine. Right now, at this very instant, you are entitled to the complete compensation for all that was misplaced. As the shadows dissipate, the burdens are removed, and the promise that you have been waiting for a very long time opens up in your heart. Proceed, then, into the future light that is coming. Embrace the certainty of my love, the conviction of my presence, and the power of my message as you walk among these things. You are not the only one, young one. You are being guided toward the bright future that I have planned for you by my hand, which is currently upon you. Confidence should be your constant companion, hope should be your song, and serenity should be your constant portion. Do not forget that you are loved, that you are seen, and that you are heard. In this day and every day, this is the word that the Father has spoken to you. The Father is saying to us today, do not give place to fear, for your prayers are a beacon cutting through the darkness, reaching my ears with a swiftness that is unmatched. I want you to forget the idea that your prayers are lost in the vastness of the sky, because every word that you say is received, recorded, and acted upon by my hand in conjunction with the angels that are assigned to your circumstance. I want you to know this, my child. My kingdom takes note the instant your heart groans and the time a tear paints your cheek with the language of your soul. The severity of your need is reflected in the thunderous tremors of intercession that reverberate across the heavenly courts. Prayer should not be viewed as a mechanical routine, a reciting of words without any emotion attached to them. The river of your emotions should be let loose, and you should let the weeping and sighs to rise up like a symphony that is carried on the wings of angels. The raw calls for assistance, the intense longings, and the unvarnished appeals for assistance should not be withheld. It is not a matter of concealing your flaws, rather, these are weapons that are used in the domain of the unseen, weapons that have been forged in the fire of your faith. Your tears are not merely droplets that fall into the abyss, rather, they are valuable diamonds that have been collected by hands that cannot be seen. Every single bead is a representation of the battle you have endured, a diamond that glistens with the fervor of your desire. Because they are a physical reminder of your love for me, they are treasured and kept close in the coffers of my grace. They are a form of currency that can be used to purchase favor in the courts of heaven. You should let your emotions speak when words fail you. In the moments when uncertainty is attempting to paralyze you, allow the groans of your spirit to rise up like incense, filling the entire air with the fragrance of your trust. This is because it is precisely in this state of vulnerability, in this unfiltered expression, that your connection to me becomes the most powerful. On the altar of my will, your prayers are like embers that have been placed there. I extinguish the darkness with the blazing fire of my response, which ignites the furnace of my glory and drives out the darkness altogether. It is important to remember that the power you wield in your prayers and the influence you possess in the courts of heaven are not to be underestimated. Make sure that your petitions are bold and fierce, and that they are raging with the righteous fire within your belief. Refuse to give in to the lukewarm pleadings and the mumbles of discontent that are born on the plains of earth. Therefore, send prayers that are filled with conviction, petitions that are like arrows of supplication that are directed directly toward the throne of grace. Please allow them to ascend like flaming sacrifices, a fragrant smoke that will be acceptable to my senses. Your comments, which are infused with hope and faith, will not be ignored by those who are listening. They will be gathered by angels, and then they will be used as tools from heaven to remodel the fundamental fabric of your reality. It is important to keep in mind that the rumblings of uncertainty are always close to the ground, clinging to the dust of worldly worries. When placed within the constraints of mortal arrogance, the boasts of the proud reverberate in a hollow manner. Your prayers, however, which are created out of humility and faith, are able to penetrate the skies, destroying the strongholds of opposition, and drawing my presence down to earth with a speed that will leave you amazed and energized. And so, youngster, do not be afraid to take risks. Raise your voice, let go of the inward yearnings that have been bottled up within of you, and watch as the heavens open up to fulfill your need. Because you are the one who holds the keys to open my blessings, the power to bend the arc of your destiny, and the joy of walking hand in hand with your Father through every triumph and trial, you are the one who possesses these keys in the sanctuary of prayer. Go forth, then, and pray, not from a position of weakness, but from the wellspring of your faith, knowing that each word reaches my ears, and each tear carries the weight of your love, forever and always. Be steadfast, as the Father instructs you now. It is not with the rigidity of stone, but rather with the rooted strength of an oak tree that has been worn by storms yet is still growing toward the sun. Are you familiar with Caleb? He refused to give up hope for the country that was given to him, even at an age when most people would have been content with whatever life had to offer them. And I tell you, child, that I have given you not a title deed to a piece of land so much as I have given you the title deed to life itself, life that is full to the brim and bursting with abundance that is beyond your wildest imagination. You are not being enticed with a reward that is dangled in front of your eyes to keep you slogging through the dust. This is not a promise for some distant tomorrow. At this very moment, your inheritance is destined to become your current reality. Just as it is in heaven, so it is on earth, is the mandate that is woven into the very fabric of reality. There are no lingering shortages, and there is no waiting period. How about the miracle of the cross? That moment was the big reveal, the concluding act of a love-filled symphony that had been composed. There are no unfinished tasks, and there is no need for any extra works to be performed. In order to query the core essence of my gift, it is necessary to have doubts about this and to wait for additional signs. At this moment, youngster, the call is yours. Worrying is not the answer, faith is the key. Have a life that is intertwined in faithfulness, with your heart dedicated to the rhythm of my heart. In that state of harmony, marvels will be revealed, doors that were shut tightly will open on their own, and impediments that appeared to be insurmountable will gradually disintegrate into dust. You don't have to beg or try to persuade anyone. Recognize the completeness of the cross, allow it to wash over you, and allow it to purge your uncertainties. As you move forward, do so not with fear but with the boundless joy of a child who is holding a kite string, certain that the wind will carry it above. Do you remember Abraham taking the decision to leave his cozy home in Ur, with family arguments sticking to his robes like sand from the desert? The actual promise could not take root until he was able to free himself from those obligations. Children, this is the case with you. It's possible that there are things that are clinging to your heart, and while they are wonderful in their own way, they are preventing you from receiving the fullness of my inheritance. Take a good hard look at them, acknowledge the value they bring to the table, and then let them go with open arms. Instead of letting them go with resentment, let them go with the knowledge that my promise is much more valuable than those earthly goods. There is no sacrifice involved here. Rather, it is a trade-up, a leap of faith that will be rewarded with a universe that is brimming with grace. Child, put your faith in me. As you go out of your UR and enjoy the life that you were always destined to live, take my hand and step out of your UR. Today, the Father instructs us to go and not sin any longer. Those individuals who are hurling insults in your direction are merely validating their own feelings of guilt about their actions. Please forgive them. I adore them. Continue on. The people who are skeptical of things in this world will never be persuaded, and there is no point in making an effort to persuade them. This group is comprised of people who are not well informed. They are not your duty. Rather, they are mine. Place your face in the direction of my courts and my pavilions, and let the past to remain in the past. Try not to glance back. Instead of looking back at the things that have happened in the past, you should focus on the things that are still to come. When Lot's wife realized what had happened, she became a symbol of misery for everyone who followed in her footsteps. As Lot reflected about his past, he remarked that his own offspring would be a generation of godless people. Your face should be as hard as a flint. In the highest place, make repairs to me. After that, I will heal and revitalize you in every aspect of your life. Allow me to handle the specifics. What ifs and what abouts are the things that the adversary brings to the table, but that is not my voice. There is always someone too close to the fires of misfortune in your life who says, "Curse God and die." In the middle of the pressure, make it your resolution that you will not transgress with your words or accuse me with silly indictments. My royal power is working to both redeem and recover you at the same time. You will have a more successful conclusion than you had at the beginning. In the testimony of increased fidelity that I am bringing about, the storm that is looming so large on the horizon of your life will be nothing more than a footnote. As the Father says, have faith in me. Let me handle everything from here on out. You should have faith in me and be aware that I am greater than you are, that I am more knowledgeable than you are, and also, I am God. There is nothing to be afraid of, and there is no reason to flee. Simply take a stand. I have defended you in the past and will continue to do so in the future. Stand in faith and anticipation that when the day is over, you will be able to lay your head down and have a restful night's sleep. Today, the Father encourages us to not lean into uncertainty but rather toward destiny. The fact that you are here is not a haphazard utterance amid the expanse of creation, rather, it is a purposeful note that has been woven into the very fabric of my being. You have not been forgotten. Rather, you have been placed with precision, just like a star in the heavens that is about to shine brightly during its assigned time. The question that you have posed is, "What are you doing, Lord?" My response is crystal clear: closeness. I have a strong desire to bring you closer to me, to unite the huge gap that exists between the divine and the human. The strengthening of this link is not only for your own personal comfort, it is also for a more significant orchestration. As we move closer together, a magnificent multiplication will take place, and an abundance will pour into every aspect of your life. In the past, your spirit was a source of silent promise. Nevertheless, it will transform into a geyser of benefits that will cascade outwards to touch other people. Allow yourself to temporarily forget about the arid fields of earthly recognition. To serve under the banner of my kingdom is the reason you are here. You are not here to seek the approval of other people. You are a member of the Divine Council, a predetermined resource that has been selected with great care at this crucial moment. It is possible for men to misunderstand, rebel against, or even attempt to sabotage your goal. In spite of this, you are able to remain unfazed because I am both your shield and your sword. In the midst of the storm, my purpose shines brightly within you like a beacon. You should therefore accept your placement. Take note of the places in this garden of opportunities where I have planted you up. In spite of the fact that the duties that are in front of you are suited to your strengths and sewn into the fabric of destiny, you should not shrink away from them. Accept your mission in life. Rather than being a burden, it is a beautiful tapestry that is detailed and serves a purpose, and it is just waiting to be unveiled. You yearn for change, for a shift in the sands of time, and you hunger for transformation. Be aware that the time for waiting has come to an end. A fruitful ground has been created, and the seeds of possibility have been allowed to germinate. Embrace the fullness of your calling today and take the journey. You should proceed with the self-assurance of a vessel that has been selected, knowing that in my kingdom, there is nothing that is lacking. You will be able to witness the multiplication, the abundance, and the magnificent symphony of grace that unfolds as a result of your obedience if you allow your light to shine brightly and without compromise. Keep in mind, my child, that you are not a note that has been forgotten in a void of silence. In the chorus of creation, you are an essential instrument, and the song that you sing will reverberate across all of eternity. You should go out and sing. Today, the Father tells you that you are following in the footsteps of Abraham, and that you are endowed with the same stable covenant that was created through loyalty. My vow is unwavering, even when many centuries have passed. It is not written in ink on a parchment that is deteriorating, but rather it is inscribed in the very fabric of your being. Keep in mind that your ancestry does not come from a mortal tribe, but rather from my spirit. Rather than calling you out from the constraints of a kinship on earth, I summoned you out from the enormous expanse of my kingdom that has not yet been claimed. You are not constrained by the restrictions that might be imposed by cultural norms or heredity. You have been granted citizenship in a heavenly city that was constructed on the basis of unwavering grace. It is important to put aside the uncertainties that arise in the background of your mind. You are not a seed that is destined to die under the heat of the sun from the earth. In the blazing light of my kindness, you are a child who has been reborn from the ground up. Your spirit is bathed in the light of my love as each new morning dawns with a fresh outpouring of favor upon it. It is important that you do not retreat into the shadows of self-deprecation, child. You have been born not of conquest or human edict, but of the very breath of God, and you are a country that exists solely for yourself. A dynamo of potential that is just waiting to be harnessed is the grandeur that I am pulsating within you. Fear not the borders that have been drawn by the hands of mortals. The scope of your heritage extends beyond the grasp of human limitations and into the limitless domain of my grandeur. When people say your name with blessings, they will be met with favor that is above their comprehension. You are a watchful barrier against the blades of jealousy and hate, and my hand of protection rests upon you from this very moment. You will find that those who dare to toy with your trip and who strive to push you off the path of my purpose will find themselves cast out, their words drowned in the roaring wind of my righteous rage. Child, you need to look up. You are a treasured spark in the great constellation that I have created, and I watch over you as if you were the pupil of my eye. The storehouse of heaven is brimming with blessings that are intended to be received by you. Give up the shackles of dread and let go of any fear you may have. I have surrounded you with my brilliance, which is like an impregnable fortress against the darkness. Star child, you are about to step into your inheritance. Awaiting you is the kingdom of God. This is the word of your Father, which has not been uttered in the fading echoes of history, but rather in the vital breath of the one that we are currently experiencing. My child, I want you to go forth and walk in the light that leads you back to your home. Today, the Father encourages you to make agreement the most important thing in your life. Instead of the frail understanding that was pieced together by human compromise, the unbreakable covenant that was forged in the furnace of faith is what we are talking about. With the promise of the word of Matthew 18 resonating in your mind and heart like a trumpet call to arms, have dominion over your thoughts and your heart. You must not give up this ground, not for the slightest glimmer of uncertainty, not for the thunder of a storm, and not for the insults of your own insecurity that are spoken to you. For the extent of your miracle can be measured by the degree to which you are in agreement. With every timid query and every muttered doubt, I am building a dam to prevent the flood of my mercy from flowing through you. Put an end to the clamor of skepticism and put an end to the defiance showing from your senses. Despite the fact that the world may provide a striking contrast to my assurances, it is I who am in possession of the pen that writes your story, and I am the one who wields the brush that paints your destiny. My words should be chosen over the shifting sands of experience, and trust should be chosen over transient glances. Child, a more significant legacy is waiting for you, and it is tucked away within the embrace of singular focus. There is only one intellect, one aim, and one heart that is in perfect harmony with mine. The shackles of self-imposed constraints, the chains of previous failures, and the rigid laws that were created in the furnace of fear should be cast aside without hesitation. You should not kneel to worship at the altar of your senses. Instead, you should let go of the harsh grasp of resentment, forgive, and release, and then step into the morning light of my mercy. At this very moment, you are being surrounded by an ocean of compassion, the tide of which cannot be stopped by any mortal hand. I am a God who is faithful without wavering, and the faith that you have in me is the channel through which I pour forth my blessings. Your spirit should be a vessel that is open and porous to the surging flood of my spirit. This will help you to quell the tide of doubt that is churning within you. The murmurs of doubt are drowned out by the roar of miracles coming to the surface whenever you drink deeply and draw from the hidden wellsprings of my power. This is because within that profound connection, the whispers of doubt are eradicated. Children, this is the essence of what it means to agree. This is not a passive acceptance of authority, rather, it is a lively dance of faith, a symphony of will that has been surrendered. The rivulets of my grace will widen as you enter into this covenant, and they will carve canyons of possibilities across the dry plains of your uncertainty. Each and every breath should be a hushed affirmation, and each and every heartbeat should be a spiritual drumbeat. The fabric of your destiny is revealed to you in this union, one thread at a time, miracle by miracle. Therefore, proceed, child, with trust serving as your weapon and agreement serving as your shield. The rumblings of uncertainty will become less audible, the shadows will dissipate, and the route you are on will be illuminated by the brilliant light of the promise that has been fulfilled.